Hey guys, there's a feeling of satisfaction that comes from working in the trades. It is something I hear a lot of established professionals talk about. Having the knowledge and skill set to solve problems or even just build something incredible. Or simply saving a person's house pipes from freezing and breaking. At that moment, you seem like a superhero to the average person, the keeper of some great hidden knowledge. What most people fail to recognize is that it just takes dedication and a lot of hard work. Today's Green to Great interview is going to introduce you to one of those blue-collar heroes. Toolbox Buzz crew member Wes Bartosik sat down with Pete Wilshire. Pete has a company called Wilshire Mechanical Services based out of Oxford, Connecticut. Pete is a licensed plumber and pipe fitter and just a general all-around problem solver. So let's jump into their conversation.
All right, everyone, welcome to another installment on the Green to Great video series. I'm Wes Bartosik from Toolbox Buzz, coming to you from my shop here in Oxford, Connecticut, which is nowhere near as nice as Rob's, but maybe we'll fix that one day. So I'm very fortunate in that I'm able to share with you guys today the story of a friend of mine, and I'd like to introduce you to my friend Pete Wilshire of Wilshire Mechanical.
Hello there.
So it's kind of funny. When I moved to the area, I didn't have a local plumber that I knew. I didn't have any contacts, so I went to the lumber yard and asked, "Hey, do you guys have any business cards for local guys that I could reach out to?" So they handed me a few. I think I had 3 or 4 guys in the mix that I called, and Pete was the only one that ever returned a phone call, and it's kind of stuck ever since then. But I also know too, Pete, that if I ever need you for anything, I got to call you like 18 months in advance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 6 times in between.
Yeah, but that's fine, man. That's a good problem to have, I think, sometimes. So, Pete, why don't you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes. My experience with the trade started in 1993 when I got out of high school. I started with a small family-run business in Connecticut. We did plumbing and heating and sprinkler fire protection. Shortly after that, the company went union. So my education started with the state of Connecticut at night, and then it evolved into a night school with local 777. And mind you, even though I didn't get credit for my state school, I did the entire school through local 777, which was a phenomenal education, unlimited education. So anything I wanted to do almost in the trade came out of my dues and my monthly dues, but I was able to come out with several trades, one being a P1 mechanic, a plumber contractor, a heating contractor, S1, and I had a welding certification, a pipe welding certification. So the first company I stayed with was a good run, was for 7 years, and then I evolved into another local company. On my own, I evolved. I wanted to that they did more industrial work, and shortly after that, I probably, what was it, 13 years into the local, I ended up going on my own. I had enough side work and to move me forward. I was content where I was, but I wanted to move forward.
You wanted the adventure, kind of like the experience. Right. Yeah, of running my own business.
Had gone as far as I kind of could in foreman's positions, and I knew there was more to it than what I was doing.
I got you. See, my father, he always kind of told a story when I was growing up that it got to the point where he had the same headaches and the same problems and the same heartburn as the owner, but it wasn't his name on the truck and it wasn't his name on the paperwork. And he said, you know what, why not? Why not me? Why shouldn't it be me that's doing it? So it sounds kind of similar to kind of what you're talking about. So Wilshire Mechanical, that is your company.
This is my company.
And
this is a partnership. I own it 50-50, not 51-49.
Okay.
It's 50-50.
Even split.
with one of the best guys that I could ever go into business with, who I met many years ago in the trade.
Cool.
So a relationship developed many years ago, and essentially evolved into a partnership.
So what you'd mentioned some licensing and things like that before, but what trade do you currently fall under? Or what trade do you consider yourself under?
Well, we are plumber pipe fitters, and essentially we offer welding.
Okay.
Welding as well. Pipe
So
welding.
welding on top of that as well. So for those of you, in case I failed to mention it before, we are in the state of Connecticut. And so, Pete, what licensing requirements are there for you in the state of Connecticut for what you do?
S1, S license, P license, and A certification.
Okay, so those are the three things that you have to maintain.
I don't have to. If you want to just be a plumber, you could have a P license.
Ah, okay.
And there's all different rankings and different numbers in P license.
Gotcha. Okay, so the different levels of P with the plumber's license. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what the kind of work you guys do currently. So what are the jobs that Wilshire Mechanical is looking at, and what are you guys like? What's the biggest things coming in and out for you right now?
We particularly target mechanical rooms, machine rooms, equipment change out. We have a little niche in the market that we prefer.
Gotcha.
And if it's slow, we will do just about anything else.
Okay.
Right. And involved in our trade, we'll rough a house in.
Mm-hmm.
We'll change residential boilers from gas to oil, etc. We will, any type of service work, service orientation, in heating or plumbing, and we'll install chimneys. Our license covers chimneys.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. So
mostly metal chimneys.
metal chimneys.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that commercial really is the big moneymaker, or just kind of the preference for you at this point?
Commercial is the preference for me, and I find that's where we profit better in commercial. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't make any money in residential. We're just not geared for residential full time.
Were you was residential ever like did you
Yes.
start out doing residential and then eventually work?
Yeah, I started off by myself doing residential repairs,
Mm-hmm.
faucets, tubs, showers, boilers, anything to do in a home, and then it evolved.
Wow. So what was it like making that jump? What was it like going from, the hey, my bathtub's leaking call to the hey, my massive boiler unit for my commercial facility isn't working? So what was it like making that transition?
Well, if you evolve, you do it in stages where it doesn't hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not painful.
Okay.
But the biggest part of evolution was leaving a company and understanding paperwork and the taxes and pricing jobs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And billing.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, by the way, there's collecting.
Yep.
And that's a big jump from working with somebody.
Okay.
Working for somebody, to that. So that would be the hardest leap that I had to take into the going on.
Wearing
into
all the
business.
hats. Wearing all the hats and being responsible for everything. Now, how about your background? Was the trade something did you grow up in a family with exposure to the trades? Did you have family members that did it? Or is it just something that you individually gravitated towards?
My father was a plumber pipe fitter.
Okay.
And he was he could do sheet metal, and so he was a really good mechanic, all around mechanic.
Wow.
Could gas weld, and he came from an auto body field many years ago. And then he evolved into the trades. So naturally, it's easy to pick up the tools and go forward from there if your dad did it. I wouldn't necessarily say that would be my first selection when you're fresh out of high school, but my father said, please just get licensed or certified in something, then you can make up your mind.
Okay.
Well, that was almost 30 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it kind of got you steered in the right direction.
It
sounds
absolutely
like.
did. Yeah.
So now let's just Wilshire Mechanical. How many guys? Let's talk a little bit about your business specifically. How many guys are working for you? Are you doing a lot of the work every day yourself?
Yes, it's 5 of us total. So we have we have 3 apprentices. One is on his way out of, he's coming out of his time. He'll be a mechanic shortly. One is a fairly new apprentice, and the other one has been with us for 3 to 4 years now. I work with the tools daily or weekly. There's days that, or there's days I cannot. I have to price, out projects and scope and look. So, and my partner essentially is out doing the same thing. So.
Okay, so you guys are all, I mean, you guys probably can't see it, obviously you can't see it right now from this angle, but Pete didn't pull up in, like a fancy luxury car or anything like that. There is a full service truck sitting in my driveway right now that every time I've ever seen him driving, that's the truck he's driving. So
that's the daily vehicle.
Wow. Yeah.
Equipped with welding machine and pipe rack.
Wow. Very cool. So is there anything, doing it as long as you have and being exposed to as many facets of the industry that you have been, is there anything what do you still like to do? Like, is there any one particular thing about your job that every day, you still like doing, or what's your favorite part?
It's a nice change of pace. We're not in front of an assembly line. We don't see the same people every day. We get our longest run of work would be a month or 2 in one place. Sometimes you like that. Sometimes it's nice to get used to a spot for a while. But no, we're in and out of a lot of different buildings weekly, monthly. So that really breaks it up for us. A lot of the buildings are old, they're historical, so you get to see a lot of different things, architectural and mechanical things one may never see the rest of their life.
Before filming, Pete and I were actually having a conversation about that, and he mentioned working in a 100-year-old factory in Waterbury, Connecticut, which is a city next to where we are, and just seeing how it was done and how how this country was built and how buildings like that were built.
That's right.
It's incredible, and unfortunately something that we seem to be losing our appreciation for. But for our market here in Connecticut, so Pete and I both live in Oxford, Connecticut. We are in New Haven County, kind of central Connecticut, south central Connecticut area. And Connecticut, it seems like everything trade related, it's just a rat race, man. Like, it's just, we have every angle, every facet, everything you could possibly imagine. And there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot of work in our state, no matter what it is you do for a living in the trades. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so you get a well-rounded, mixed bag here in Connecticut for sure. Pharmaceutical has grown rapidly in Connecticut, and there's been lately a big influx of people coming in back into some of the cities, Bridgeport. So that means more infrastructure, boilers and chillers and cooling. So
at one point, I think you had also told me that you had done all the mechanicals for a brewery that had opened up in many states.
Many breweries. It's almost I can't say it's a niche. It's almost one of our fortes, our breweries.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So what would you say right now? What are the projects that are most desirable? So what are the jobs at Wilshire Mechanical, when you get a call for, you're just chomping at the bit?
Breweries.
Yeah, that's the one.
Because we're plumbers and steam fitters, we can do the building from the ground up. So that means we can do the underground plumbing, we can do the boiler, the steam, the condensate. If we want to, we can do the chimney. All the way to start up, the gas piping. So we kind of cover all aspects of brewery installation, a lot of it.
So for a project like that, would that be one of those jobs where, hey, you're on site for 2 months?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's not like you're just showing up for a couple of days here and there.
No, but there are a lot of those projects are we get callbacks, and we have additions to the system. We put in install new tanks and we do upgrades and change outs. So we're always revisiting the same customers.
Gotcha. All right. So now, are there any jobs at this point where somebody calls you up and says, hey, can you come give me a price on this? You're just going to flat out say, no, thanks.
If it's one of our regular customers, they're not going to
say,
doesn't matter how busy we are.
You got to take care of them. Just like little old Wes when he calls you every now and then, right?
Representation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, sometimes all depends who the contact is and how our name got out there. So it's usually word of mouth. We don't really advertise.
Right.
We have no advertising. I have this, but there's no phone number under it.
A hat and a sweatshirt. That's all you need, right?
And a handshake.
And that I think kind of speaks to the volume of work that's out there, and more importantly, at least for us, our market, that, you know, hey, if you know your stuff and you get that word of mouth referral from enough people, you're going to be busy.
Right.
And your business is going to grow if you want it to grow. So right now, is it just yourself and your partner? Are you the two dedicated trucks?
No, we'll call him our head, the next guy down from Bob and I, it has a new van, and essentially he has a helper this year, or an apprentice.
Okay.
So there's 3 vehicles.
Okay.
And we, you know, sometimes we divide up into groups of 3 and 2, and if need be, we're all pulled together on larger projects.
Okay.
To push it through.
All hands on deck.
All hands on
everybody
deck.
here.
Yep. So we're all terrain. Sometimes we just send out a few guys to a small repair, and you know.
So with that, I mean, is there any plans at this point, or are you looking to expand? Do you see Wilshire Mechanical growing or getting bigger? Do you want it to get bigger?
I want it to get to a point where I don't have to lug as much.
All right, so you'll have the 250 instead of the 350.
That's
is
right.
What you're saying.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
But you know, that's evolution, and I do want to evolve, and we are evolving. It's not just 2 guys working really hard.
Yeah.
We have you know, guys with us now, so we have manpower, we have hands.
So what's a typical? What's a workday like? What's a workday like for you? I mean, in terms of hours, and how many hours a week are you putting in?
Well, probably typical week is between 50 and 60 hours, somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay.
If you want to think about all the preparation time, you know, the downtime with the, you know, loading the vehicles, unloading the vehicles, and paperwork, and yeah,
The behind the scenes.
The behind the scenes, yeah. So you're you know, if you're just starting off, you'll have to hustle. You have to get those. The minimal is 40 hours a week,
Right.
Minimal,
Okay.
and you want to push ahead and get ahead a little quicker. You're going to want to work weekends and at least Saturdays. So
Yeah. Well, you know, unfortunately, to get started and get the name out there and build the business, right? That becomes a sacrifice, or
yes, but it also spreads very quick. You know, it spreads very quick. When I was doing small repairs in homes, I really didn't have to venture out of a 3-town area to make a living.
To make a living.
Yeah, so but I kept it that way. I didn't look for work outside, and then you have contacts, and your name spreads if you're doing good work.
Good work.
Hopefully.
Good work.
Yeah.
And that's the theme: doing good work and getting that name out there
That's
and
right.
building.
Yeah.
So what is a typical day of driving like for you for a job?
Well, typical day at work.
Is there such thing as a typical day?
Well, almost every day is different, but we can be. Usually, my commute is within an hour, but we do some federal work outside of out of the state. We'll do a Massachusetts, New York, if we're working on post offices or hospitals. If it's a federally funded project, we can easily leave the state.
But I assume a federal project with multiple locations, like a post office, that's got to be a pretty good bill. I imagine it's desirable.
That is, and that's what the guys like. That's the David Bacon Act. So our oldest apprentice is making $78 an hour on those projects.
Wow.
So
okay,
because he is essentially accumulating the entire union wage, including benefits.
okay. So just so we're clear, we are an apprentice on a project like that. Earning potential is anywhere around $70+ an hour.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's he's ready to come out of his time now.
Okay. So what is, again, no matter where you are, the market is going to be different, but what is the earning potential like for a licensed plumber pipe fitter in would you say in our area? So in Connecticut, you're a licensed plumber pipe fitter. You know, what is your earning potential like?
As much as you put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the sky's the limit, I think.
Okay.
Sky's the limit. You know?
And is it consistent?
I would say yes. If you, I mean, we are in a unique niche of the market that, because we are well-rounded, we almost can pick and choose what we want to do.
Which is fantastic. That's a really, really, nice problem to have. I would imagine that you can cherry pick your business a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But again, comes with a lot of hours, a lot of traveling, and from everything you said, it sounds like a lot of hard work. I've seen you work, man. I know it's it's not the easiest jobs, and you're hustling a lot of the time.
That's right. Yeah.
So now, one of the other biggest points of this interview series is that we're trying to paint the picture for young people that, hey, the trades is still and always has been an excellent option to build a long-term, profitable, and sustainable career. So let's talk a little bit about new employees. So from what you've said so far, it sounds like your retention is pretty good. The guys that come to work for you, you said one's been there 4 years, one's been there 7 years. They're sticking around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some qualities that you look for in a new hire?
You have to show up on time.
Show up on time? Yeah.
Show up
Okay.
on time, and you need to work.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's it.
Do you think that is college education something that you look for? Is that a requirement?
No, it's not a requirement.
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I already knew the answer to that, so I'm not surprised to
No,
hear you
it's
say
not.
that.
No.
Is it at all beneficial?
Absolutely. Why not? I mean, if you come, absolutely. It at the end of the day, it won't speed you along with acquiring a license, because you still have to put your time in, your hours.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, you can move up the ladder a little quicker if you got a better head on your shoulders. So,
do you have a preference for somebody coming to you with a trade school education as opposed to just going into an internship or apprenticeship?
we would preferably take the new employees green with no background.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Start fresh.
Maybe a mechanical, some tools in the background. That's always a plus.
Yep.
Because it's hard to teach someone to use tools.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't target kids in or out of school.
Okay. So my next question would be, have you ever hired somebody with no experience, or would you hire somebody with no experience? But right then and there, absolutely.
Our three guys we have were inexperienced in our trade prior to coming to us.
But they knew what a hammer was and a
That's
2x4
right.
was, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. Okay. Well, so would you, how about tech savviness? And nowadays, I'm 33, I'm not that young, but I see that a lot of people, at least my generation and younger, have technology is very easy to them. Is that at all a benefit to you in your field and what you guys do?
We're kind of like dinosaurs, Wes. We're still assembling cast iron boilers.
Yeah.
We're still dragging steel pipe.
Mm-hmm. You don't really need to know how to send a tweet to
the behind the scenes. The behind the scenes
Yeah.
is yes. I mean, as our barbaric as our work is sometimes, behind the scenes, if somebody wants to send you a PDF file, you need to look at. If you can't look at it in your truck, on the phone, and get him a price or answer,
that's a huge hurdle.
Yeah. Fax machines are out.
So has that been an issue at all for you?
Because
owner?
I've evolved with it. Fortunately, I have evolved a little bit with it.
Yeah.
So I can get over those hurdles with it. But there's a lot. There's technology out there that's unbelievable, but it's not suited for our size operation.
Okay, so you guys, you're not at that level yet where it's something that you would need, on a daily basis.
It might not ever get to that level,
But you know what? That doesn't mean that, again, it goes
for us,
right? But it goes back to the point that you don't really need all that skill to be able to build that successful career and to be able to build a life the way that it sounds like that you've been able to do, which is exactly what we want to get that message out there about. So, give me three things. Give me three things a new person should know about their first day on the job with you. We know, hey, better show up on time. You better be ready to work.
That's number one.
Okay.
That's number one, showing up on time. listen, obey, and mistakes are included. We of course see mistakes are inevitable. It's a learning curve. But to be conscientious of your whereabouts, your surroundings, especially in construction sites, etc. And a lot of that has to be taught.
Yep.
So, but to listen and to absorb, and to be on time,
right.
And not to give us any trouble.
You don't want to read in the newspaper about your new hirees' weekend activities, right? Or
exactly.
anything like that. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, how this is something that I've kind of struggled with, and it sounds like your background growing up was very similar to my background growing up, and some of the lessons that were instilled in me. But how do you teach a young person to work? How do you prepare a 20-something-year-old for a 12-hour day, 5, 6, 7 days in a row?
He either has it or he doesn't.
Yeah. Is that something that you have been, can you fix that? Can you change that in a person?
I don't think you can.
No.
I don't think you can. If you were cutting lawns when you were a kid and you were hustling and making a few bucks on the weekend, you know what it's like to work a solid day.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's either you have it or you don't.
Okay.
In that aspect.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and how about this? How about for you? Is it hard because you have such a wealth of knowledge and such a background experience and everything like that, and just the knowledge of the trade? Is it hard for you to take off the business owner hat and put on the teacher hat with the guys on site?
No, not on site. And now we're to a point where the guys teach each other. So even if I miss a few, important tasks or whatever, there's usually somebody will fill in the blank to educate or show one of the guys how to use a piece of equipment or whatever. It's safe.
So they're taking care of each other, training each other up. Okay.
Part of the evolution.
Wonderful. So one of our other biggest things about this is just we're trying to point out the disparage between people coming into the trades versus people who are reaching, guys in the trades guys and girls that are reaching retirement age and are leaving. Have you guys, as Wilshire Mechanical Services, been directly affected in any way by, the lack of quality people coming into the trades?
No, because we're small enough. We're not
Okay.
running a huge operation. It's a very specialized group of guys and work. I think.
Okay.
All terrain would be the word. I don't know if we used that verbiage before, but
And you're adaptable. You're versatile. You can downsize or switch hats, whatever it takes to be able to keep things moving. So what, as a whole, and one of our missions is that we want to get the message out there about these about trade careers in the trades and building a life in the trades. As a whole, what can we as an industry do better to get the word out there, to get people attracted to work?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I think clearly, because it seems like we're struggling with it.
Probably interviews like this and a general knowledge of, college and college isn't for everyone.
Yeah,
it's really not.
Yeah.
I don't preach that, but we have one of our employees didn't follow through with it. He was in school for several years. Mm-hmm. He seemed to do better with in the trades.
It's just a more natural fit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. So one of our final questions here then is, at this time, are you hiring? Are you guys looking for anybody?
We're always looking, but we're not hiring right this moment. We have our, even a small 5-man shop has growing pains. So when we take someone on, we have to evolve a little. Mm-hmm. The workload changes, and you got another mouth to feed.
Oh yeah.
So once we get back up to speed and everybody's back in full swing, then we'll probably be looking again.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right. Okay. So if it's okay with you, one of the things that we're doing to try and help out our guests on the interview series is we're just kind of plugging their business a little bit. So later on, we might be able to link to your information, get your information out there. If anybody's interested in contacting you, we can get that word out there for you. So when the time comes, if you need somebody, hopefully we can find you some good applicants.
Very good.
So, Pete, you're a busy guy. you're a busy guy, which seems to be a recurring theme with the more tradespeople we talk to. So I really appreciate you taking the time and coming and helping us out with this. When we first started talking about this project here for Toolbox Buzz, you were one of the people that immediately came to mind for me, like just hard work and nose to the grindstone, whatever it takes to get the job done and build a successful life in the process. So I think if we can get that word out there and get more people of the mindset like you, I think, hopefully we'll be able to close that trade gap a little bit. So everyone, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this, the Green to Great series. We're going to be coming at you with more interviews of tradesmen from around the country. My next installment, I'll be talking to my friend Tom D'Amico of D'Amico Electrical Services, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the day-to-day of an electrician here in Connecticut as well. So thank you all. Thanks for being a part of this. And Pete, thank you, man.
Thanks, Wes.
Meant a lot.